Thank you. Please be seated. Today's scripture lesson comes from the mystic Gospel of John, chapter 15, verses 9 through 17. Hear these wonderful words, and I hope that they bring comfort and joy to your heart. As the Father has loved me, so have I loved you. Now remain in my love. If you keep my commands, you will remain in my love, just as I have kept my Father's commands and remain in his love. I have told you this so that my joy may be in you, and that your joy may be made complete or full. My command is this: love each other as I have loved you. Greater love has no one than this, to lay down one's life for one's friends. You are my friends, if you do what I command. I no longer call you servants, because a servant does not know his master's business. Instead, I have called you friends. For everything that I learned from my Father I have made known to you. You did not choose me, but I chose you and appointed you so that you might go and bear fruit that will last. And so whatever you ask in my name, the Father will give you. This is my command: love each other. I was watching the Civil War, Kinsburn's Civil War, and on the presentation that they had as the war was starting to begin, they read a letter from Major Sullivan Ballou to his wife, Sarah. And as I was listening to it, I thought, this is the most beautiful love letter I've ever heard. And then 2 weeks later, this passage comes up, and immediately I thought of that letter, because within that letter is everything that is spoken about in this passage. Sullivan Ballou, he was a former speaker in the Rhode Island House of Representatives. He was a very successful lawyer. When Abraham Lincoln gave the call for volunteers to save the Union, he joined the Rhode Island Infantry. And he writes this letter as they're getting ready to have the first major battle of the Civil War in Virginia and Manassas. So hear this letter from Major Sullivan Ballou to his wife, Sarah. My very dear wife, indications are very strong that we shall move in a few days, perhaps tomorrow. Lest I should not be able to write you again, I feel impelled to write a few lines that may fall under your eye when I shall be no more. Our movement may be one of a few days' duration and full of pleasure, and it may be one of severe conflict and death to me. Not my will, but thine, O God, be done. If it is necessary that I should fall on the battlefield for my country, I am ready. I have no misgivings about or lack of confidence in the cause in which I am engaged, and my courage does not halt or falter. I know how strongly American civilization depends upon the triumph of government, and how great a debt we owe to those who went before us through blood and suffering of the Revolution. And I am willing, perfectly willing, to lay down all of my joys in this life to help maintain this government and to pay that debt. But, my dear wife, when I know that with my own joys I lay down nearly all of yours and replace them in this life with care and sorrows, when after having eaten for long years the bitter fruit of orphanage myself, I must offer it as their only sustenance to my dear little children. Is it weak or dishonorable? while the banner of my purpose floats calmly and proudly in the breeze, that my unbounded love for you, my darling and children, should struggle in fierce, though useless, contest with my love of country. I cannot describe to you my feelings on this calm summer night, when 2,000 men are sleeping around me, many of them enjoying the last, perhaps before that of death, and I, suspicious that death is creeping behind me with his fatal dart, am communing with God, my country, and thee. I have sought most closely and diligently, and often in my breast, for a wrong motive in this hazarding the happiness of those I love, and I could not find one. A pure love of my country and of the principles I have often advocated before the people, and the name of honor that I love more than the fear of death, have called upon me, and I have obeyed. Sarah, my love for you is deathless. It seems to bind me with the mighty cables that nothing but omnipotence can break, and yet my love of country comes over me like a strong wind and bears me irresistibly on with all those chains to the battlefield. The memories of all the blissful moments I have spent with you come crowding over me, and I feel most deeply grateful to God and you that I have enjoyed them so long. And how hard it is for me to give them up and burn to ashes the hopes of future years when, God willing, we might still have lived and loved together and seen our boys grow up to be honorable men around us. I know and I have but few claims upon divine providence. Something whispers to me, perhaps it is the wafted prayer of my little Edgar, that I shall return to my loved ones unharmed. If I do not, my dear Sarah, never forget how much I love you, nor that when my last breath escapes me on the battlefield, it will whisper your name. Forgive me my many faults and the many pains I have caused you. How thoughtless and how foolish I have oftentimes been. How gladly would I wash out with my tears every little spot upon your happiness and the struggle with all the misfortune of this world to shield you and my children from harm. But I cannot. I must watch you from the spirit land and hover near you while you buffet the storms with your precious little freight and wait with sad patience till we meet to part no more. But, O Sarah, if the dead can come back to this earth and flit unseen around those they loved, I shall always be near you in the garish day and the darkest night, amidst your happiest scenes and gloomiest hours, always, always, and always. And if the soft breeze fans your cheek, it shall be my breath. And if the cool air cools your throbbing temples, it shall be my spirit passing by. Sarah, do not mourn me, dear. Think I am gone and wait for me, for we shall meet again. As for my little boys, they will grow as I have done, never known a father's love and care. Little Willie, he's too young to remember me long. And my blue-eyed Edgar will keep my frolics with him among the dimmest memories of his childhood. Sarah, I have unlimited confidence in your maternal care, in your development of their characters. Tell my two mothers, I call God's blessing upon them. O Sarah, I wait for you there. Come to me and lead thither my children. Sullivan. 1 week after composing this letter to his wife, in the plains of Manassas, Ballou was struck and killed as the Rhode Islanders advanced from Matthews Hill. You see, my friends, it's one thing to intellectualize love. But it's something altogether different to embody it and make it alive. And this is what Jesus was doing with his disciples, you see. And this beautiful, intimate moment with those whom he loved so much, he's letting them know he loves them, and he no longer sees them as servants, but he sees them as friends. And that same message is to you and me. We are friends. And why is it that we are friends? Because he says that servants don't know what their master's business is all about, but friends do know. And he offers a command that we love one another as he has loved us. And I see in this love letter to Sarah a man who saw that his purpose in this world was greater than what he would like to have done most. And he was willing to give up his wife and his children in order to be a part of a cause that he saw so important. And the passage of Scripture says, there is no greater love than to lay down your life for a friend. And what I found interesting is when I looked at that in the Greek, there's no greater love than to lay down your life. It's not zoe, it's not bios, but once again, it's psyche. There's no greater love than to lay down your soul for a friend. Your soul, that most intimate part of you, that part of you that's directly connected to the divine. And we see this with this beautiful letter in this man and so many other men and women throughout history. So many others. Another thing that Jesus says in the passage is that his disciples, all of his followers, know everything that he knows and that God had given him. And this is why I've spent my life studying the teachings and the life and the deeds of Jesus, because for me, I believe that they most accurately define and show me the truest character of God. And when I know more clearly the truest character of the divine, it helps me to realize more clearly the divine within myself, and helps me to see more clearly my own purpose in this world and my life. All we must do is open ourselves up to the teachings, to the words, to the deeds, and allow them through the Spirit that unites us with Jesus and us with God, to allow it to teach us, to help us to grow and to evolve and become the people that God created us to be from the beginning. And he says, keep my commands. Love one another as I have loved you. And the Greek word to keep is to attend to carefully and to guard. Isn't that beautiful? Keep my commands. Attend to carefully and guard the commands I have given you. Love one another as I have loved you. And then he finishes it by saying, know my love, so your love can be full and complete. And we as human beings are constantly chasing for those things in life to make us fulfilled. But it's not in the things, it's in the spirit by which we live. It's in our relationships. It's in what we're willing to lay our souls down for. And this man, in the quiet evening of 1961, 157 years ago, don't be impressed, I know the math because I did it before I preached it. We're still reading this letter today. Why? Because within it contains a profound sense of love for country, for cause, for wife, for children. For we will be remembered not for what we think, not for what we have, but we will be remembered for the love we received and the love that we have given. And all that we are doing to make this world a better place. Thus ends the lesson. I'm going to ask a lovely human being that I hold dear in my heart, David Housel, to come and join with me as we get ready for communion.